Excel tutorial here with a video on pivot tables. And they are, without a doubt, one of the best tools in Excel, a quick and easy way to summarize and perform descriptive statistics on your data. These will emulate what the ArcPro combination of sort of summary and statistics do. They'll just do it in sort of a much cleaner, quicker, easier to do fashion. It is an absolute must skill, whether or not you take GIS ever again as a class. I'll give you sort of a quick basic to it now of how it's structured, and then I hope you incorporate it into your practice beyond. So in order to set up sort of a pivot table, really what the name is implying is it's asking you that you're going to like pivot on fields. And what that really means typically is that you're going to take certain shared values, right? Like in here, there's 2,500 different colleges, but they are spread across, right? 50 states plus Puerto Rico. There's 2,500 records here, but the Carnegie simple classification is only broken into sort of a couple of areas. And knowing that, right, knowing that there's going to be dozens, if not hundreds of records that share values, this is where you can really quickly start to look at things like, hey, is there maybe a higher average of clustering, hanging out with sort of broader networks of people that happens in one state versus another? Do certain types of schools or sort of sizes have greater economic connectedness, more connectivity between low and high income students than others? Are basic, simple, how many students are enrolled at school in this state versus that state, right? So this idea of pivoting, of breaking down these categorical based values and then performing some summary or statistic or operation on the numeric values is really sort of what the pivot table is all about. So, in order to do it, you just want to select, all the rows you're using. So either collect that select thing at the top or sort of drag and drag over. Come on up here in data. I'm going to come to summarize with pivot table, maybe in a slightly different place on your computer, but we're all going to the same sort of area. Again, summarize with pivot table. Select it. The only really thing for you to know is in the bottom says, where do you want to put it? Don't keep it on the same worksheet. That gets really complex. You want to put it on a new worksheet. Hit OK. And you're going to create a new tab. Now you might want to come and remind yourself that it's a pivot table. So change the name. It's going to look like nothing at first, but you're going to see these values over here. And this is effectively what makes a pivot table a pivot table. Up at the top, you have all your fields. So you can choose any ones you want up and down. And there are 4 rough columns over here. You have filters, something we're going to use in a second, that sort of emulate what we were doing back on our original value, right? Where you can sort of turn on and off a certain number of fields. You have rows and columns, which is where you will start to condense things, right? So again, I here have my rows as individual schools, and that's why there's 2,500 of them. But eventually, I will want to maybe collapse those rows down so that I'm looking at, Carnegie classification or states or something, and so the rows will emulate that. Columns does the same thing, but it goes across. And then finally, the values, right, where I'm taking some sort of value I can summarize and adding it up. So why don't we start sort of super simple here? Why don't we just maybe just break down, the type of school. So there's like a Carnegie classification, Carnegie simplest. There you go. So again, that's it. In all of the 2,500 records we have, you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different rough values that I put in that area. And maybe let's sort of start simple. Let's go over to the utilization of students and we'll drag it in here. Usually it automatically goes to sum. I'm going to click on column B, come up here to my comma just so it's easier to read. And there you go. You've done a simple pivot table. It has now taken every single instance where it found an associate's college and summarized, added up the total enrollment right within those areas. The cool thing is that under values, each time you do this, you can actually change a lot of stuff, right? It could be instead the average, right? So of all of the associate schools, the average enrollment is 5,422. The doctoral research schools, and that makes sense, right? The Penns and the Rutgers and all the sort of big ones in there, they average about 16,000, so on and so forth. Maybe I want to see for each school what the max is, right? So you can take the max and you can add it up. So that's kind of neat, right? You can actually start on the fly just calculating some sort of quick and dirty statistics. These things can keep breaking down as well. Like maybe what I actually want to see is not simply just the type, but the type and control. And I can drag it down, and I got associates, and then I got my 3 values. I got baccalaureate in my values, doctoral, and now I'm breaking it down, right? I can look for my doctoral, and then on top of that, what's private, what's public, so on and so forth, right? And again, it just keeps that same summary active for me. I could look at that same thing this way if you wanted, right? Now I got my associates and my privates, my private not-for-profits and my publics. Again, that's just the difference between a row and a column. That's a pivot table, right? Super clean, super easy. You can do kind of fun stuff with it. We can even take in some of those values that I found earlier. The clustering. Maybe I'll sort of see what the average clustering is for each one. Might have to make that sort of a percent. There we go. Do we have any sort of thing here? The doctorals tend to have it a little higher. The master's colleges tend to have sort of a slightly higher on average clustering than sort of others, especially sort of the specialty 4-year or 2-year. That makes sense because they're sort of more graduate based. It makes sense that you'd have sort of a tighter controlled network because you only have sort of a certain number of students. So again, we don't need to get too deep into this. You can start playing around with the different ways to structure it. Some of the only other things that I do want you to know, if I were to come back in, we'll drag back in sort of the total student utilization here again. Make that general. I'll drag back under the control again. And only other thing that's important to know is like when you have a pivot, and again, if you're on a Windows, I might not know exactly where this is, so you just want to start looking. There's these 2 things up here that'll sort of show you, how to mess with stuff on a pivot table, and then something on design, which shows how it's structured. The only thing to really know about the analyze one is this refresh one. Refresh just means that when you change, any information, like I'm just going to make something up. I'm going to come up here to Carnegie Simplest, and I'm going to change this one here, the special focus 2-year to, dinosaur. And then if I were to go back here and do, pivot table refresh, obviously there's now a dinosaur one that's coming that I have sort of made up that I'll have to make sure to sort of fix back in a second. You have to remember what I made you. Special focus 2-year. Okay, now you're back. So again, like that's refresh. And then the only other thing is under here on design. Like right now it makes it this sort of compact layout, but you can also start to look at it in more of a tabular form, right? Where sort of each row would still represent. You can come here to subtotals and take them away, right? So each of these would be linked back to associate's bachelor's degree. You can repeat the item labels if you want. I don't care. Up to you, right? You'll figure out sort of how to use this in such a way that makes the most sense to you. But that's a pivot table, right? A quick and easy way to go through and quickly and easily summarize your data, right? You can also then incorporate your filter. That'll just turn certain things on and off. Maybe I only want to look at instances where there are historically black colleges and universities, so on and so forth.